Sairam, everyone. Just to recap what we discussed last week in a few sentences before we continue on. Swami was telling us that we should cultivate the ability to give room for the will of the Atman to work through us. And he says that is the way we can get over the vasanas, which are the impediments in the path of progress in sadhana. And Swami went on to tell us that first we have to cultivate the Atmic culture. We have to cultivate the identification with the Atma, or the love for the Atma. And then he says from that we will be able to cultivate the culture of the will, that is to surrender to the will of the Lord, so that our wishes do not come in the way of the will of the Lord operating through us. Only then, Swami says, will we be able to attain the culture of morality. Any good deeds which emerge from our actions and thoughts. So Swami says, first we have to conquer the internal world, then we will be able to do well in the external world. And Swami also went on to say that we should not have any desires, and we should discard all desires and work steadily and patiently and with Shraddha, Swami says, towards the ultimate goal towards which we are marching. And then Swami says the fruit of our actions will be realized. Those were the words which we discussed. We had lots of discussion on various topics related to that. So we will continue from that point today. Sairam. Sairam, Sister Kalyani and Sister Narmada.
Take it step by step. I think this is what we discussed, right? Do you want to read this again, or?
Just read through at least, so it will be another revision, and then we can move to the next slide if it's okay. Sairam.
So take it step by step. The lower step can be seen from the higher step, not the higher step from the lower. So one should strive to go step by step, higher and higher. In other words, from the culture of the Atma to the culture of the will, and thence to the culture of moral conduct. Then the enjoyment of the bliss of the Atma becomes quite easy and natural. When the baby is unable to walk, the mother encourages it to toddle a few steps at a time at home before it is allowed to go on the road. Instead, if it is put on the high road first, how can it learn? Besides, what of the dangers of the road? So also first the internal factors have to be strengthened, and then external factors like moral conduct becomes easy. Morals without the basis of internal uplift will not be deep-seated, so that the cultivations of the attitude of the Atma is primary. The aim of spiritual practice is to remove the motive, the wish, the attachment, the yearning for the fruit. Understanding this clearly, the spiritual aspirant must not give way to any dispiritedness, despondency, or feeling of failure or doubt. The aspirant must be patient and bear things with fortitude. Therefore, the aspirant must develop within themselves enthusiasm, faith, activity, and joy, keeping the great big result of effort constantly in the view. Aspirant must boldly discard all difficulties and temptations. Since the latter are but short-lived and weak, with a little patience they can be overcome with ease. If the aspirant is not vigilant and patient, all already achieved success will melt away in an unguarded moment.
Sairam, Sister Kalyani, maybe you can advance. I think we discussed this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Spiritual aspirants, yogis, and renunciants, sannyasis, have to climb a ladder, the steps of which are argumentation, no argumentation, analysis, non analysis, agreement, etc. Savitaraka, nirvitaraka, savichara, nirvichara, samatha, samatha, etc. No past or future. The knowledge of the world is not real knowledge. It is relative knowledge, the knowledge of the non real. The knowledge of the eternal absolute is the real knowledge. It is acquired by meditation. The fire of meditation and yoga will reduce the sapless activities of the mind, manas, to ashes. Immediately thereafter, the knowledge, jnana, of the real will flash. It will shine with undiminished effulgence. Its light will never go out. For those established in this real knowledge, there is no past and future. All ages are in the present, in the actual moment of experience.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. Swami is laying out the path which we all have to go through. Wherever we are, Swami wants us to understand the path, all the steps which we take to reach the state of samatha or samatvam or samadhi. So Swami is listing 4 distinct steps through which people get to that point. The first one is savitarka. Swami says argumentation. I don't know whether argumentation is a good translation of vitarka, but we will discuss that. Savitarka. Then Swami says nirvitarka. That means sorry about it. Excuse me 1 second. What?
Maybe Uncle Sivadas, do you want to explain?
Sorry, I'm very sorry, I'm back.
Please come in.
Okay, sorry about it. I think it's one of those moments when people do online and, I think it's quite famous. So what happens is, so we go through savitarka, which is argumentation, or actually I would say analysis, or even maybe argumentation is, tarka means argumentation. Vitarka means it's little refined argument, sort of analysis. Then Swami says there's nirvitarka, non-argumentation. So we give up argumentation itself. Then Swami says savichara, only then the inquiry starts. The state of inquiry or analysis. Then Swami says that also goes away. Nirvichara, we don't even do vichara. Only then we reach the state of samadhi. So these are the steps which every sadhaka goes through to reach the destination. And then Swami, so we can discuss that. But the next one is, next paragraph talks about, Swami is talking about the relativity of the knowledge of the world, or even which actually relates to even anything which we think through our head and analyze. Swami says that is not real knowledge. The real knowledge is acquired only through meditation or contemplation. And that basically reduces the mind to ashes, or it's removes, negates the activities of the mind. And then Swami says the knowledge should flash. And once we see that flash, Swami says it will never go away. And we will know the past, present, and future. That's what Swami says. So I will stop there and I will open it for discussion. So I think Sister Vasudha has sort of helped me out. She says debate is a better term. Thank you very much, Sister Vasudha. Tarka can be considered debate also. Saira.
Saira, Tarka, can it be logic also?
It can be logic also. Yes, Auntie. Thank you very much, Auntie.
Yeah.
So I think it's some sort of rigorous analysis.
Yeah. And debate is a good word also.
Debate is also good. Thank you. So I will open it up for anyone to discuss, share your thoughts.
Brother. In here, it says it's a ladder, okay? So there should be an argument, then no argument. So it's a climb, right? So what is the argument is referring here? What is no argument? Then if we analyze it, that part, then we know what is the ladder. What is this meant by that, please? Thank you, Sairam.
Very good question, sister. And that's why I am just opening it up for discussion. If anyone understood something, let them share. Then we'll go from there. Saira.
Excuse me.
Saira Bandi. Chalo. Yes.
In Telugu, Swami is saying, Mano balamunaku Bhagavat chintane aharamu. To think about, to meditate upon God is it's a food for our strengthening our mind. So Dhyana Yogulu uga nichena. Dhyana and yoga are like a ladder. That's what he says. And then he goes on with the steps one by one. Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara, Nirvichara. And last, it is not Samatha. It is Sammata. Sammata into coming to agreement.
Okay, agreement. Okay.
Agreement. Sammata. That double M is not there.
Okay, in English it is not there, Auntie. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell.
Okay, thank you very much. Sammata is agreement. Okay.
Agreement. Come to an agreement after debating, after logically arguing with, maybe not arguing, analyzing it, logically analyzing it, then come to an agreement.
Aram, could we say this argument and non-argumentation is self-search, searching for the inner truth? So when you're renouncing and looking, searching, so when you're searching, you are analyzing, arguing, trying to understand God, and at the end you are experiencing it or coming to a samatvam. Could we take it that way? Or
Yes, please, we could. Yes.
So even self-assessment as well?
Pardon, can you speak a little louder, brother?
Sairam, can it be also self-assessment, I'm saying?
Self-assessment, you could say so, yes, I guess.
So Sairam, brother. So my understanding is the worldly knowledge, the book is knowledge. That will give you only to debate and argument, all kind of things. So we are in the ocean of the worldly ocean. So that in order to, we have to know how to swim and we have to know how to float also. For that, Atma Vidya only thing, it can take us to the ocean of the other side. So if we know Atma Vidya, then that is the real knowledge. Other knowledge, worldly knowledge, only it will bring us all kind of arguments and doubts. That is my understanding, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? Okay, means I don't know, everyone. I will just leave for a little while for everyone to contemplate. I'm sure everyone is going through Savitarka, Nirvitarka.
Sairam, brother, I think Mani Bhashyam was giving us some clue on that part. So, can we ask her to say something about that? Mani Bhashyam.
Sairam, Auntie.
Sairam. See, for dhyana and yoga, to do these sadhanas, we need a strong mind. I think all of you agree with it. And to do this, to strengthen our mind, Swami has given a ladder. Step by step, you go climb up. So to strengthen our mind goes here and there, and it gets doubts. It gets sometimes, it doesn't agree. So there is a lot of debate going on in our mind. To come to a conclusion about the real dhyana, reality, to come to know about the reality, dhyana yoga are very important. And one by one, those steps are savitarka, nirvitarka, savichara, nirvichara, and sammata. So before we come to a conclusion, or before we come to a decision about all these things, we have to climb one by one. We go on step by step to reach that sammatam, that is agreement, that Swami, there is an absolute, which is the real knowledge, and we have to meditate upon that real knowledge, not the relative knowledge, the knowledge of non-real things. Saira.
Sairam, even when I look at these steps, even for worldly things, I thought this would be applicable. Arguments, no arguments, analysis, non-analysis, agreement. Say for an example, if a project would be successful, or it's in the initial period, planning period, we will argue whether it would be feasible, practicable. And so in order to arrive, even a worldly thing, to come to a conclusive the stage, or to be agreed by all of the members, still we have to go through these four stages. That's why in this, the spiritual balance also, it would be applicable, even though the words, it could be arguments, no arguments, analysis, non-analysis, but if you look at altogether, this process, even for the worldly, projects, or any matters, these stages would be still applicable, even the worldly things. Also, I would like to add another, question, or what is the difference between the yogis and the renunciants? Spiritual aspirants, I can see the difference. We all may fit into, the spiritual aspirants, but yogis and renunciants all have to climb. But my question specifically, what is the difference between the yogis and the renunciants? Maybe for a long time, I have had in my questions, exactly what is the difference between the yogi, jnani, that has been a long time question for me. What is the exact difference between a yogi and a jnani? I believe jnani, it could be a renunciant, or it could be another category too, but here they have put the sannyasis. So can anyone please explain what is the difference between the yogi and the sannyasi, or the renunciants, and the jnani?
Thank you very much, sister. We'll park that. That's a good question. I will just read out that in the Telugu version, it says sadhakulu, sannyasulu, dhyana yogulu. So I don't know whether Swami is using the words as synonyms. Sadhakas means anyone who is practicing any spiritual practice. Sannyasi is one who has renounced the world and he has taken up only the path of searching for the Atman. Dhyana Yoga means, I think, people who practice the dhyana and the yoga path. But one may have used it as synonymous, or they could be in different sadhakas, I think.
Arun,
yes.
Sairam.
Yes.
See, there are only two sadhakalu, sannyasulu. That's all. Those two, sadhakalu is what Swami refers to yogi and renunciates as sannyasulu. But the dhyana yogulu, no. Dhyana and yoga are the ladder. There he uses the word. Dhyana yogulu means they are not a separate group of people who are practicing this.
Okay, Auntie. Okay,
Dhyana and yoga are, it's just like a ladder.
Are the separate? Okay.
That's it. They are not separate people, Dhyana yogulu.
Okay.
Only two, sadhakalu and sannyasulu.
Okay. So Dhyana Yogulu means Swami is referring to the Dhyana and Yoga.
Okay.
Okay.
Dhyana and yoga are like a ladder.
Okay.
So, sister, the Manibhashyam is telling that only two, the spiritual aspirants, and only the other category, it could be the yogis and renunciants altogether.
Yeah, that
one category.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam.
Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Sairam, so in the first part of Darka, Vidarka, everything now we understand. So through different ways of inquiry, we arrive at a conclusion that we have to engage in meditation, Dhyana, Yogulu. Okay. So that is somewhat clear now that, we come to an agreement that we have to serially engaged in meditation to arrive at the truth. And for the other yogis and sannyasins here, so as brother explained, sannyasins, of course, they wear upper robe and they renounce the worldly connection and ties, and they roam in the world. The floor, the earth as the floor and the sky as the roof. And so whatever, there's no attachment, anything. If they get food, then if they are hungry and if somebody gives food, they will eat. Otherwise, no food also. So in that way, they go. They are jnanis. They are jnanis actually. They go like that. And yogis, of course, they can be stationed in a place, ashram, or even a house, home, and he practices the 8 limbs of yoga, yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara, dharana, and so yogi, after he accomplishes his final samadhi state, and then, according to our previous study circles, he then became a jnani. So, in the 4 ladder, that the usual, that worship, work, psychic control, and knowledge. Sarya, Kriya, Yoga, Jnana. So in that way, the yogi is the 3rd step. He has completed Sarya work part and worship part, and now he is the 3rd stage, and he is meditating, and then he becomes jnani. In that state, he fully renounced everything and he roaming in the world. So 1 step higher than yogi, according to what we studied and what we learn from everywhere. For sure, of course, yogi is practicing the Atanga Yoga. That is a direct definition of that. And for the jnani, of course, he sees everything as Brahman, and he has nothing to achieve, but still spending his time till the time comes. No, that's my small understanding of this. Anybody can enlarge it. Thank you, Saira.
So
Thank you.
this the first part is that the when say the Savidarkas, Nirvidarkas, Savichar and Vichar, some other, as Andy said, it's not some other. So that is that mean among other aspirants or just within one's own mind? What's really meant here?
Okay, I will just, thank you very much, brother. It's a good question. See, I will just read out, if Auntie can read. Basically, Swami says, Aya sthanamulu pondagalguru. Means basically, Swami says, whether it is jnanis, or so whether it's sadhakas, or whether it's sannyasis, whatever stage they reach through nichana.
Nichana is ladder. Nichana means ladder.
Nichana mula munane. So all of them achieve whatever stage they are getting. Aya means whatever, each according to their stage. Whatever stage, through a ladder. That's what Swami says. But I think as brother Vimalesan asked, my understanding is it's all internal. It's nothing to do with external, is my understanding. But I will open it up for others to comment.
Because particularly I ask because as Auntie Manibhashan said that the last word is some mother. So is it like in a study circle like theirs or few aspirants, they argue or they debate about issues regarding these and come to a conclusion or agreement, some other, and then they ponder on it internally and meditate on it internally, and then the jnana flash. Is that's what is it, man? I'm just asking.
Yeah, okay, good question, brother. I will open it up for some others to comment. I think Sister Vasudha was wanting to say something. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Saira, I'm sorry. I was trying to follow up on what Sister Ananti said. Her first part of her question was that do we see this in daily life with practical things and with other worldly items too, like the argumentation, non-argumentation. I think one of the most contemporary examples would be COVID. There was a lot of debate about wearing a mask or not, a lot of information about it, but then we were all left to our own judgment. So almost many families went through their own sort of argumentation, and there were different information sources. So most people agreed with the mask, and then now it's the COVID vaccine. Thankfully, we have the vaccine, but there is also some healthcare workers too who are kind of not wanting to be, they're saying they don't want to be guinea pigs because it's a new vaccine. They don't know about the side effects, things like that. So to answer Sister Ananti's question, I think we are constantly doing this in our day-to-day life, where we have to make certain decisions which will have ramifications not only for us individually, but to our family, our neighbors, our society at large. And so I don't know if the exact wording here is word for word argumentation analysis, but it probably means have the debate in your mind with facts or examples or analysis, and then contemplation, and then you come to a conclusion. And also I think what Brother Vimalesan was trying to say was perhaps an extension is to do it at your individual level and then at the level of the satsang or the group, because when we're in a group, we have the vibrations from the group, and it's a much richer discussion because you have the wealth of the analysis from different people of different age groups and experience. None of us are at the level of yogis or gyanis, but maybe we are also attempting to be on the first rung of the ladder. For me, I'm still in this stage of Shravanam, but this is just what I feel about, like what Sister Ananti said about daily life or something like that. So I just thought I would give my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sister Vasudha.
Anyone else would like to comment on this, please?
Sairam, even though we apply all these methods, arguments and non-arguments, analysis, everything, Swami is saying by doing all things, the knowledge what we are getting of the world is not the real knowledge. It's a relative knowledge. We may apply all these things to know something, as Vasudha was saying, but the knowledge of the non-real things is not going to help you in any way. The knowledge of the eternal is the real knowledge. So you apply these methods, not even if you apply for the daily life, you may come to an agreement, but that's not going to help. Swami is saying that we have to apply these methods to come to an eternal, the real knowledge. And then, the fire of meditation will reduce all your doubts and to ashes, and then you can get the real, it will flash, the real knowledge will flash. So these methods are not only, you may apply these methods for the external, to know the external world, but ultimately these methods are to be applied to know the real knowledge. Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you.
So, Sairam, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sairam, I also agree with that Manibhashya Auntie's thing, because you do analyze argument in a worldly perspective. It's going to be a little different than what you are going to do it for internal upliftment. Okay, so that could be different analysis, the different points of things you will consider. But in this meditation part, the argumentation, analyzing it's kind of different. That's has to be go with the spiritual perspective. This is my thinking. So this argument on analysis based on the internal part, I think, is not. It's an individual, not for the worldly discussion side. Thank you, Sai.
Sairam, sister. Thank you. Yes, Brother Tasan.
Yes, Sairam, brother. So in my understanding is, if I'm not coming to the worldly knowledge, if I'm coming to the Atmic knowledge, if I say something, words, deeds, thoughts supposed to be aligned, you're supposed to be experience that one that is aligned in order to do the proper meditations. Words, you always supposed to talk truth. Deeds, whenever you do some work, selfless service, that will motivate to learn more and more Atma Vidya. Thoughts, and the good you develop your good thoughts. So in words, deeds, thoughts, you should not have any attachment. If we don't have the attachment, then we can do the proper meditation. And if I say something, other people that the people don't know Atma Vidya, they will argue. So this is my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? So I guess we have all reached samatha, but so I think, I always think our study circle itself is an example of all these four. Because we read something, there is mind immediately will argue, will ask questions, it will question. See, I think one of the questions was whether it's internal or external. The reality is, before an argument comes out through our mouth, the argument has taken place inside our head. So all arguments actually all analysis and argument actually take place within the mind, but sometimes it's expressed through words to others. But then, sometimes that argument can become just, if we start engaging in an argument with somebody else, in addition to the argument within our head, then we will have to deal with the argument with the other person and the argument within the head of the other person. So that gets magnified too much. But I think when we take our study circle, we have 30 odd people today here. There are some of us may be engaging in vitarka, some of us may be engaging in vichara. And there is actually majority are either nirvitarka or nirvichara. They don't argue, they don't they don't express, at least because they don't express it. And I think some people are just samatha. They just want to look for the agreement and then go on. So it's ultimately, whether it's externally manifested or not, the argumentation, the analysis, the logic, everything actually goes on within our head first. So because it is an internal process, this meditation itself, as Manianti has nicely said, all this relates to the world. And then Swami in the second paragraph says, if you do either the meditation or yoga, it will reduce everything to ashes. That means the mind will at last rest. And they will say, will agree with whatever, and only then, I think it's a form of surrender to the divine, because the mind will try its best to understand and grasp. It will try this, it will give up, it will try again, it will give up. When it finally gives up and says, oh Lord, I just agree with whatever you say. Then Swami says, the flash of jnana will shine. So I think it is a process which we repeats again and again, as Sister Ananti said. Even in the worldly sphere, it's the same thing. When we are working with a group of people, it's the same thing. But it's much more so in this path of spirituality. And I think that is the whole purpose of study circle. we look at various angles, various arguments, various opinions, various perceptions. And through all that, I think our own acceleration towards the state of samatha, I think is goes a little faster or accelerates. And it's helpful, when everyone shares their view. So this is what I thought. I understood from listening to everyone and contemplating on it. I will stop here. Stop my tarka and vichara. If anyone has something to share, please do so. Saira.
Sairam, I also want to share my view on this particular paragraph. If we look at the paragraph above this one, Swami is talking about this, the spiritual aspirant must have a steady mind sort of things. He's telling us the aspirant must be patient, bear with fortitude. Then he goes on to say the aspirant must develop within himself enthusiasm, faith, activity, and so on, some things. And then he's also talking about the aspirant must boldly discard all difficulties and temptations. Because when we go and sit in front of the altar and start to meditate, our mind has some sort of an agitation, thinking, is it worth sitting here? The mind keeps running away on the worldly affairs kind of thing and thinking, am I wasting my time? Am I truly meditating on, truly want to get my liberation? So that sort of a feeling that always kicks in our mind. That's what I think Swami is comparing. He's bringing all the spiritual aspirants, yogis, and renunciants at the same on the same line. He's equating everyone in that particular category to climb the ladder. Even the ladder, on the top of the ladder, the sannyasis are on the top of the ladder. They're spiritual aspirant, we are at the very bottom of the ladder. But the spiritual aspirant as a sannyasi level, he has gone through, he has stepped up all the other, every steps he has climbed up there. But I may be at the very bottom. But this is for everybody, this mental agitation will be there. So everybody has to climb that ladder. That's what my understanding on this paragraph is. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much.
Sairam. Okay, Sairam. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, sis.
Brother Rajagopal, you talk first. I will talk after that.
Oh, thank you. Sairam, for everybody that spiritual expert, yogis and the jnanis, that everybody has to climb the ladder. They need that strength, that mind has to be strength. That's what they think. They need the argument and the conclusion, everything needed. That made that the important things is made that mind has to be strengthened. That's the reason they are argument and doing everything. The aim is that claiming the ladder. After conclusion, they get the decision to go up to ladder. That is things the Swami says there. I think. Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother.
Sairam, I understand from this, we don't worry about which steps in the ladder we are on. This each depends on their spiritual knowledge and on their own karma and whatever in this world, their atmic knowledge and everything. We know in the brother Sivadas said, in our Samya Kuravar, like Samandar Upper, Sundarar Manikavasagar, each are on different level, but all reach the God, which on their level. And also in the last paragraph, it says, when we come to this stage, there is no past and future, all ages are in the present. That's the mindfulness. For me, it's a meditation. I don't need to go and sit in front of the altar and meditate and things like that. When I wake up in the morning until go to bed, you can be a mindfulness and do things which Swami's ask us to do with all of our study circle. We learn lots of things, and we can do our duties and service with mindfulness and meditated thing. That is enough, I think. Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Sairam. Sairam.
Yes, sir.
This is Saku Auntie. I just want to say, if you really surrender to our Sadguru, then you have to develop your faith and patience and perseverance. Then all this analysis and argumentation, nothing has to come. That is the cause of the ego, I think, with our people-sized brain. That's what I think. If you surrender, everything will come and fall into places.
Okay, thank you very much, Auntie. Any other thoughts or comments?
Hiram, brother. I accept somewhat Sister Paul, Sister Ambiga, and brother, what's the name? Okay, whatever they mention about the meditation, what the Shastra says, what's the Veda saying? In order to do the meditation, we have to sit in front of somewhere, and we have to focus on something, and we have to bring that whatever your form first, the initial stage I'm talking about, you have to bring it within your eyebrow and say the Namasvarana. That is the meditation starting level. Then normally people say, oh, whatever I'm driving, I'm meditating. I'm reading book, I'm meditating. I'm cooking. That is not the real meditation. This is my understanding, brother. If others, please give any comments too. Thank you.
Sairam, brother. I think Swami has already answered, I think, a few chapters ago, earlier, saying that, one is, if you want to ride a motorbike or something vehicle in the public road, he says it's better you practice where no one else is around, in open land, and then once you develop, then you can ride in the busy street. So I think that's all I can say. So I think each of us have to decide whether we have mastered the vehicle driving and we want to risk trying to drive in the busy street, So I think it's each person has to evaluate, is my understanding. So I will
I agree, brother, that last time also we studied, when you achieve that level, then you can be meditate anywhere. You can stand, you can walk in, you don't need to, once you come to that level, you don't need to meditate even. So the beginning level, we have to follow the steps, whatever Shastra saying, whatever Vedas saying. That is my understanding too, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? So I think there is some other, so we will move on to the next slide, if it's okay. If anyone has any comments or thoughts, you can still share that, but we can proceed. Sister Kalyani and Sister Narmada.
Clean and feed the mind. Just as soap is necessary to make this external body clean, repetition of the divine name, meditation, and remembrance, smarana, are needed to clean the interior mind. Just as food and drink are needed to keep the body strong, contemplation of the Lord and meditation on the Atma are needed to strengthen the mind. Without this food and drink, the mind will just totter this way and that. As long as the waves are agitating the top, the bottom cannot be seen. When the waves of desire agitate the waters of the mind, how can one see the base, the Atma? The tottering causes the waves and is caused by want of food and drink. So clean the mind with contemplation of the Lord. Feed it with meditation on the Atma. Only meditation and the spiritual practice sadhana can clean the depths of the mind and give it strength. Without purity and strength, the Atma recedes into the distance and peace flees.
Thank you very much, Sister. Now, Swami is going on to explain. I think in the previous paragraph also, Swami has talked about how meditation will reduce the mind to ashes. Here also he is talking about the divine name and meditation and smarana, thinking of God all the time as tools for cleaning the mind again. And he also is telling, as long as, I think the proof of that cleanliness is only seen by the absence of desires, which Swami says other waves of the mind. So until we have desires welling up, then we have not reached that state of mastery over meditation itself, it looks like. So Swami says, feed it with the name of God, which is the food and the drink and the way to clean it also. So that's what I understand. I will open it up for everyone to share your thoughts, please. Saira.
Sairam brother, actually we need or I need the Telugu words for contemplation of the Lord and meditation on the Atma. Because it is coming again and again. We have to know what it is.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. I will ask Sister Auntie Manibashyam to read if it's okay.
Okay. Nindu bavilo alalundunanta varaku adugu bhagamu kanapinchadu. When there are lots of agitations on the top of the water. Bavi means here it's a well. Nindu bavi. The water is in a well. On the top, if the water is moving very fast, we cannot see the base. Adugu bhagamu kanipinchadu. Atle mano sarovaramandu. He is comparing it's the sarovaram of mind. Mind is just like a lake. Alalanta varaku adugu bhagamaina atma kanipinchadu. You cannot see the atma when there are waves on the top of the lake. Atmanu chuduga goruvaru పై భాగమునందు పరిపరి విధములైన పారిపోవు మనస్సు కోరికలనే అలలను తగ్గించుకోవలెను. the mind is running here and there, and lots of wishes, and we have wants. All those we have to reduce them. Alalu taggi sthirata erpadala valna manasukku tagina aharmu. So the food for our mind is we have to reduce our wishes and wants. So when adhyatmika chintana kavalenu, we have to think about spiritual things. Danini shubra parichu samagri dhyana sadhana. So to cleanse up our mind, it is dhyana and sadhana are needed. Dhyana and sadhana are needed. Ee rendu lekunna shubra mukadu. The mind cannot be cleansed unless we have this dhyana and sadhana. Yappudu ee rende ravu variki atma darshanamu dooramagunu. If we don't think of these two, we cannot have the atma darshana. So ashanti will be there until you cleanse your mind with dhyana and sadhana. In the last, I think, so clean the mind with contemplation of the Lord. Feed it with meditation on the atma. Only spiritual practice can clean the depth of the mind and give it strength. That's what Swami is trying to say. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
So it looks, brother, here they put it in English differently. So it means the contemplation here is spiritual sadhanas, and the meditation is dhyana. So essentially, Bhagavan is saying spiritual sadhana must continue, meditation must continue. But because there is a fundamental of the contemplation of the Lord and meditation on the Atma, that's what I am asking, that anything could be shared on this one? Or just take it as spiritual sadhana and meditations are important? What is that? If you can try to explore.
Okay, thank you, brother. I will open it up for discussion. Auntie Mani, Auntie, if you have something, or anyone else also, please share any thoughts you have, please.
Adhyatmika chintana is meditation, isn't that?
Maybe contemplation.
Contemplation. No, that is what is needed. Adhyatmika chinta kavalenu. That is very much needed. Then to cleanse up our mind, these are two things, dhyana and sadhana.
Okay, thank you. Here they are categorically saying in the last paragraph, clean the mind with the contemplation of the Lord, feed it with meditation on the Atma. So, contemplation is Atmika Chintana?
Yeah, Adhyatmika Chintana.
Adhyatmika Chintana is cleaning. And dhyana,
No. Adhyatmika Chintana means contemplation.
Oh, contemplation, yeah. That will clean the mind, yeah. Yeah, and feed it with meditation, yeah. Yeah, that's okay, that makes sense, yeah. That contemplation, spiritual thinking, spiritual contemplation, yeah.
Contemplation on the Lord.
Yeah. Meditation.
Okay,
Sairam, can Adhyatmika Chintana also mean like soul searching?
No, I think it is soul searching means you're searching for your soul, Atma.
Yeah, and Chintana is like a
thinking about it.
Thinking, yeah.
Contemplating,
Analysis.
thinking, yeah.
Contemplation, okay.
Yeah.
Sister, the word soul, it's in English language, it refers to what we consider Jivatma. When Swami says Adhyatmika, I think he refers to the Paramatma, the Godhead himself. Okay, because the problem is we all think we are the Jivatma. We think we are separate from the Lord. And thinking about us will not get anywhere unless we search for God or Paramatman, who is the real indweller in us also. I think that's my, I don't know whether I'm just answering.
Sorry, when in Western parlance, soul is, they call it soul, but we call it Atma. Isn't that?
Yes, Andy, but only I see in the Western concept, there is the Atmic concept itself is missing, because when they say soul, they refer to what we consider Jivatma. You know, with the Atman, which Jivatman, which has not yet merged with the Paramatman, is I would say soul. But when Swami says Adhyatmika, Swami wants us to go to not to the Jivatma, which is a shadow.
Atma Chintana. Atma Chintana, that would be better. Adhyatmika Chintana, Atmika Chintana. So that's right.
Yeah, Sairam. Usually, the concentration, contemplation, meditation, these are the three words in other places Bhagavan was telling. So, and the contemplation is of the Lord, Lord means with the name and form, not God actually. So the always say Sai, we are Sai devotees. When we think of Sai, his form and name and his glory, that gives us contemplation. That it takes us from the worldly ties to a serene, holy atmosphere in our mind, the contemplation of the Lord. So those thinking of the glory of the Lord, our minds are cleansed. We clean the mind. That only will, the glory of the Lord and His splendor only will cleanse our mind. So after that, when the mind is cleansed, then the meditation and the Atma become possible. So if we go straight away without contemplation of the Lord, we will not be able to meditate on the Atma or the reality or knowing Brahman or even the Gayatri. Meditation cannot come without the contemplation of the Lord, who has form and name and glory. So, and it is matching with what Sister Bhashyam, Manivasyan said. So, Atmic thinking is contemplation, and the real dhyana is that. But I specifically want to know what is meant by the meditation on the Atma. Is it anything that can be found out from Telugu?
No, there's no specific information about Atman. I think Swami has already discussed that Atman, I think earlier on.
Yeah.
And subsequently, or later on also, Swami is talking about it. But see, in the earlier chapter, Swami is already talking about to cleanse the mind, we have to use japamu, dhyanamu, smarana, ityadi. Means he's telling it's repetition of the name, doing meditation, and remembering. So I think from what we understand, it's the nama rupa of the Ishta Devata.
Yeah.
Which is our representation of the Atman, is my understanding, but I will open it up for others to share their thoughts.
Okay, that could be, yeah.
So, Sairam brother, so my understanding also that Atma is covered with the mind. It's like a river, whatever Auntie said, translated. If we have waves, you cannot see the Atma. So if the clear, calm water, you see the bottom. So in order to avoid all the waves, the attachment, desire, and everything, that's what we have to do, the dhyana and sadhana. So that namasvarana will cleanse the internal thing, will help us. That is my understanding, brother. Sairam.
Brother, actually, Swami has also used the word Bhagavad Chintana.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Aharamu, Bhagavad Chintana, Swami says.
Contemplation.
Contemplation on the Bhagavan. Bhagavan means God, the Lord.
Yeah.
So Swami has used both almost synonymously.
Yeah.
Adhyatmika Chintana and Bhagavad Chintana. Swami seems to have used synonymously, so I hope I will ask Mani Auntie to clarify if it's okay.
I agree with you, Arun. That's Bhagavad Chintana and Adhyatmika Chintana same. They are synonyms.
Okay, thank you, Auntie.
So, sister, what do you understand by meditation on the Atma?
See, our whole purpose of our human birth is only to realize that that we are the divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is keep on contemplating on that fact that we have to realize that divinity in us. That is Atma Chintana. Sai Ram.
Sairam.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
When in daily life, we keep a Swami in our home and treat him as a household. So treat him like that, easy to catch him when the meditation come. Because I learned from the Mbali Padmani at the Aka's house. She treated Swami one of the household, give her job, bring the broom like this. Swami is there, so asking to bring the broom and look at the cooker. I want to go to the washroom and make the curry not to spoil like that. And when they come back, it's overfried. What hell you will say in the bhajan? You didn't look at the cooker. So that's very nice. I said very, very impressive way. You are teaching only the 1 hour of the evening prayer only is Swami, Swami. At the other time, Swami is one of the householder. It's easy to touch. And even I now thinking about this, I feel tears in my eyes. The way it's treating his Swami is with him us in our house. If it's the way it's easy to catch hold him all the time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, brother. Brother Rajagopal.
Sairam, we all came from God, we know that, and we go back to God. That's the aim is that, that on the way we have a lot of desires, on the way that all kind of vasanas. Several births we came through. That time the vasanas come and covered with all the desires and everything. So we had to go through that. We had to clean that. Our mind, the aim should be clean. That we had to use the tools that Swami's Namasmarana and that all kind of sadhanas needed. After that only we can find that way that is clear. Then only we can reach that goal. That's the things they are clearly telling about that. I hope that Brother Dasan also explained that. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother.
Sairam, a quick question on the first sentence. The repetition of the divine name is my understanding is the Namasmarana. Swami says that just as soap is necessary to cleanse the body, these are the 3 things are needed to clean the interior mind. Repetition of the divine name is called as Namasmarana. And what is the other one? Meditation I can understand. And the remembrance, Smarana, also are needed to clean the interior mind. The last remembrance, Smarana, is the difference from the repetition of the divine name Namasmarana, or this is another type of Smarana?
Sister Anandi.
Yeah.
This repetition of the divine name is Japam, Mama. It is Japam. Meditation you know already. Remembrance is Namasmarana. The last one, the third one is Namasmarana. Japa, Dhyana, Namasmarana.
So the Jabam is different from Namasmarana. That is my question. Maybe by an example, what is Jabam and what is the Namasmaranam? Is there any little example to differentiate?
Arun, you can explain, please.
Okay. So, sister,
yeah,
I think later on Swami is talking about this in a bit detail, but Japam is to repeat the name, whether it's mentally or whether it's physically. Japa, you take one name and repeat. Smarana is bringing to your memory, which is what it is. bringing to your memory again and again. What happens to us, we may sit in one place and do some japa for some time. This is my understanding. Others can correct. For example, I say I'm going to chant Swami's name 108 times and sit in one place and I repeat. So this becomes, people have a rosary, japamala, and they will do japa. This many people do. And then we also engage in dhyana. But then smaranam is you go around, doing as Sister Ambika said, when I'm cooking, when I'm doing that. Once in a while, we have to bring to our memory. Smarana is to remember. So we should remember God now and then, even throughout the day. So there are two types of sadhana. One is you have to sit down and meditate or do japam, or whenever you are quiet. But when you are very busy in the world, once in a while you have to bring to the memory the thought of God. Which is what happens to all of us. We are busy with some work. Then in between, we'll suddenly remember Swami. The more often we remember him, it becomes the sadhana. That is my understanding. That also can, so you can do the nama japa in two different ways. One is you sit down in one place and chant. Otherwise, you go around and do everything, and sometimes you remember. Whenever you do something, you remember Swami. You remember to say the name once, which may not be a continuous process. You may not say, I'm going to do japam for 10 minutes. No, it may not. But you will suddenly remember Sai Ram. Or, something hits you, then you will say Sai Ram. So that is, we train our mind to remember God. Because ultimately, that is the most fundamental thing. Because when we are about to die, we should remember God. Even if we are not doing japam at that time, we should remember. So remembering is also something which we have to train ourselves. That's why people, before you do anything, you remember God. You may not do japam or dhyanam that time. This is my understanding. I am sorry if I am wrong, but I think I will ask others to share their thoughts.
No, now I am very, very clear, because maybe I misunderstood. The smarana is the jabam. That's why I confused. Now I understand thoroughly. Only the repetition of the divine name is the jabam or nama smarana. That smarana is the latter. Third one is remembering. Whenever we do anything, the Swami, while I am driving, I say, Swami, help me. That is also, it's a remembering of Swami in our, the difficult time or, the any time. That's now very, very clear to me. Thank you so much, Sister Mani Bhashyam. That's the Jabam, Tabam, and what's the third one you said in Tamil? Jabam, Tabam, and?
No, Japa, Dhyana, and Smarana.
Oh, Smarana, okay.
So it is also in Navavida Bhakti also, the word Vishnu Smarana is used. Actually, what Vishnu Smarana means, Vishnu means one who is everywhere. Sarvavyapi. Yes, Auntie?
Pervading the whole world, Vishnu.
Pervading the whole world, yes.
Vyapi.
So we should be able to remember him everywhere. Vishnu Smarana means Sai Ram.
Sorry. Then what is Nama Sankirtanam? Is Sankirtanam also Japam or Smaranam?
It is Japam with tune.
Bhajan, Nama Sankirtan. Bhajan, you can say that.
Yeah.
That was Geetam or something like that. Bhajan had a different meaning, had a different word for it.
Sai Ram, when you're singing with the tune and the music, that is kind of kirtanam or bhajan. Like when we do it in the bhajan.
Yeah.
So, Sai Ram brother, the bhajan, Swami says, bhakti, jabam, namaswarna.
Yeah.
So all three contain
in bhajan.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Somebody's
remembrance and Smaranam. Swami says that Swami, when we are going to the pulpit, so Swami is coming to come to give that darshan. At the time we are very blissful and enjoyment, and after that we come to that when we come to room or home that we are thinking about that again. We are memorize that. That is visualize that. That is that memorize that.
Okay.
Smaranam, I guess. Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Sai Ram. I think in this world now, people always think only the particular time go front of the altar and pray. That is the prayer. Before also I explained. Most of the time people watch TVs and you know the now is social media thing all the time, listening the thing. And I think Swami also said we have to avoid this. And when we get up in the morning, whatever duties we do, think about God. Even in Canada and some countries, calls, telephone calls. Also, we are wasting the time in the phone. And think, keep mind is kind of shattering the too much time. Keep the mind is maunam and thinking of God and do our duty. That is easy to achieve, I think. That in the practical way.
Sairam, brother.
Sairam.
This continuous remembrance of Lord, or in Sai literatures, is it better known as constant integrated awareness?
I see my understanding, brother, and I will just go first before others go, I guess. I think when Swami says constant integrated awareness, that is continuous awareness of your divinity. That may be the ultimate goal of all these practices, is my understanding. That is the end state. But I will open it up for others, because we want to get to that point. Because constant means all the time. Integrated means we should be joined with the Lord. We are state of yoga. And awareness is chit, or jnana. So I think, that is the final goal. But all these practices hopefully will take us to that point, is my understanding. But I will ask others to share their thoughts, please. Sai.
Thank you, brother. Sai.
Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? Or
Sairam, that's Brother Arun said. I would totally agree with that. That's the final purpose. But this smarana, other than that, I think whenever we meet other devotees saying Sairam, it itself is a kind of smarana to remember ourselves. Just each we can use whatever opportunities to bring Sai Smaranam to within. So that is so that because we are unable to constantly in that state, so we can use whatever opportunities get to get into that Swami's awareness. Sairam.
Sairam, brother, thank you.
Thank you.
Sairam. Dr. Kishal was telling that he is saying all this all the time that Sairam. He's saying that all the day, that all around the day, that 24 hours, continue saying that. He said, because how he can do that? He's always repeated anywhere he goes, and he repeats that name all the time. And that in practice, when he is doing the other works also, his back of the mind is going to continue that namasmarana. And also that he said, if we are doing that, we want to remember us all the time the God, our namasmarana with the God. When we are going to work, before we start the work, we give our work surrender to that God. Then we do the work. After we finish the work, then we start that announcement again. That is worship. That work also change in worship. He said that way you can say that we are praying to God 24 hours. Remember the God 24 hours. Saira.
So, Sairam brother, I like to mention about the Namasvarna to the power of the Namasvarna. In the Kali Yuga, they're given Namasvarna and the service. The person who chant, say Namasvarna, in the end of the lifetime, he will be liberated. That is Swami told a lot of time. Even Visrama, when she fell down, she called Swami. That's Swami mentioned that one too. She was liberated. For the last minute, she called the God's name. So it can be any God's name. When you chant, you will be liberated in the last moment. So it has to be done on your tongue. The last minute, you don't know when you're going to get that one. That time, if you say the Namasvarna, you will be liberated. That's what Swami is saying. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you.
Sairam, brother. So in this paragraph, what we are trying to see the Atma. So clean the Atma is my understanding is correct for us to do the Nama Japa Smarana and strengthen the mind, because these two things is needed. One is to strength and purity and strength. So purity comes from the Nama Japa Smarana, and the strength comes from the meditation and the spiritual sadhana. Is that the what we are trying to understand from here? Am I right?
Yes, sister, that's yes, sister. I hope you heard that. Yeah, that's my understanding. But anyone else who would like to share, say. So I think it's about 4:48. I think we had a lot of discussion on. We had Tarka, Vichara, and everything. So I hope we reach the state of sammata or agreement to some extent in each in our own way. And I think Swami has given us the tools: japa, dhyana, and smarana, remembering and him, to cleanse our mind so we can see the depth of our mind, which is God himself, who is the foundation. And Swami says also we need to cultivate strength. So here itself Swami says contemplation of the Lord, Bhagavat Chintana or Adhyatmika Chintana, both are needed, or that is needed to strengthen our mind. And I think one question from the Sivadas was, what exactly was the Atma Chintana? I don't know whether we have discussed that a lot. But my understanding is Atman is, Swami says, Nirguna Nirakara. It is not formless and attributeless. It is not easy for human beings who are in this world of name and form to contemplate that, which is what Krishna says and Swami has also said earlier on. So the only way we can contemplate on the Atman is to take a form, a Bhagavat Rupa, a name and a form through which we will be able to think of the Atman, because it is a proxy, or it is a representation of the Atman itself. So I think by contemplating on that name and form, we will be able to strengthen our mind, and through that process we will be able to make some headway, or we succeed in the path of spirituality, is what I understand.
Yeah.
And Swami says if we do that, then the lack of peace will not be there. So that's what Swami says.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. Everything I understand. It was good. It was good. I understood. Yeah, thank you.
Sai Ram, brother. So I think with those words, we will close for today. It's 4:50. Thanks for the wonderful discussion. We will continue next week, and we'll close for now.
Sairam, I just wanted to give a reminder for everyone. There is a Brother Aruno's talk at 7:30. I have sent out a WhatsApp message, so it has all the details. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah.
Sairam, sister. Okay, thank you very much. We'll close. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sai
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.